Welcome to the Jaron Jarvis channel. I am Jaron Jarvis. Today, I would like to introduce to you, the Unconventional Hunter, 1. Where to start? My tragic backstory? My history of hunting from a young age which equipped me with the skills I use in my current line of work? No, you don't want that. You clicked the story because the title intrigued you, so why divert from what you came for? I work for a shadow forum on the deepest parts of a cryptic server, like the dark web a lot of people are familiar with, except you don't stumble upon this server. It's invite only, and to know about it means you have used it in some capacity. I joined after a hunting buddy of mine suggested we hunt something bigger. I joked polar bear or silverback gorilla. A week went by and he called me with an invite and a plane ticket. Now this wasn't a surprise in itself, as he had always made it well known at the lodge that he invested in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies at the right time and cashed in at an even better time on the deep web, resulting in money merely becoming a number and not a concern, and was always willing to share the wealth with us without throwing it in our faces, which made him unbearably likable and an all-round good guy. The plane flew us from Gatwick Airport, a nice little private jet. This is how he insisted on traveling. Soon enough we were flying over the ocean, drinking and chatting away. I look out the window and I see shelves of ice in the sea, and curiosity was getting the best of me. But still not wanting to spoil the surprise as promised, I didn't look into where we were going. After landing in a remote, fairly desolate snow-battered drop point, we ushered into the cabin. At this point I'm going to skip the mediocre formalities of the rest of the day, eating, relaxing, chatting, etc., and skip to the morning after, bright and early for the hunt that was planned. We got our equipment together, made our way by jeep to what I would best describe as a plain white nondescript hangar. With the snowy backdrop, the building itself was near impossible to see, and once I entered the building, those first few visits, the sight and smell and sounds turn your stomach inside out. Your nostrils fail to filter the wall of smells, and your eyes and ears can't focus on one thing going on at a time, causing a severe bout of dizziness and disorientation, wishing you hadn't spotted the hangar and kept on walking by. Imagine a supermarket where instead of aisles, it was sort of laid out like a gun range, but each lane not so narrow, and each lane had a man, woman or group armed with almost every kind of weapon and non-intended weapon you could think of. On one visit I saw someone using a cheese grater, and usually all the way at the other end of the lanes were various beasts, humans and unmentionables, cowering for attempted safety, always failing, always dying. I feel you are getting bored of the build-up, so let me cut to the chase. The first trip culminated in us killing a polar bear as promised, but I was interested in these unmentionables I had seen earlier and was intrigued what they were. The best way to describe them is imagine a burn victim, or someone found drowned weeks earlier, all bloated and contorted, or someone ashen blue who had the air choked out of them. Now these things are not demons, ghouls or something like that. These are bad people. Their outward appearance for one reason or another reflects the horrific crimes they committed. After learning this, I spent more trips than I care to admit booked in disposing of these unmentionables, but they gave me a greater feeling than any big game kill I'd gotten in the past. Sometimes I would let them plead with me and almost allow them to leave before I finished them. I had a soft spot for the ones who at first glance didn't have anything physically wrong with them, but like a severe jagged scar usually on the forehead would be a number. This would be the age of the person in a sexually motivated killing. The lower the number, the more pleasure I took in disposing them. This led to the owners of this dark wonderland, after months of visits, offering me a position. Apparently the person who used to acquire new unmentionables had either gotten himself caught or killed. Either way I couldn't turn the job down, not that I wanted to anyway. A position like this doesn't come along every day. So now we are up to date near enough. I have been doing this job for close to 8 months, and am very successful at it. I get an email with an address and I scope out the area before collecting my target ready for extraction. Sometimes it goes south and I end up having to finish them early before someone gets to pay for the pleasure, but I don't mind occasionally losing a payday if I get to hunt under my own terms. This brings me to this morning. I did my morning ritual as per usual, and I noticed the little LED light on my burner phone flashing, indicating I had an email. I knew it was an email because no one has the phone number and its only purpose was to receive new addresses and targets. I glance at the details over coffee and smile when I see this one's a local. I prefer locals as traveling all the time can raise unwanted questions, so the less interaction I have with others the better. And that's when a furrow in my brow creeps across my face. The address, it seemed familiar, and that's when it hit me, the bullet. I didn't so much hear the bullet leave the gun, which meant it was either silenced or fired from a distance. I'm waging on distance. I heard the crack of the window, which also indicates to me this was fired from outside the building, giving me a little bit of luck in my favor. Fortunately for me, it only hit my side. I'm hoping just a flesh wound, but the adrenaline still hasn't died down, and the painkillers I've been taking for the past few hours seem to be doing the trick too. After being knocked backwards off my chair from the shot, and shielding myself from the window behind the breakfast table, I grabbed a few provisions within reach and crawled across the floor to the living room, at the opposite side of the house, and made my way outside and into the bushes that line both sides of my drive. I stayed there motionless for an hour or so, waiting for any signs of movement, and being an avid hunter, staying still with my wits about me wasn't too much of a stretch. All the while I was calculating outcomes, possibilities, shooters. When I was confident no one was watching my position, I made my way from garden to garden down the street till I reached the car park. There I took my neighbor's car and drove to an out-of-town Premier Inn, where I am now plotting my next step. This is how they must circulate their staff: hire a new hunter to collect the previous hunter, tying up loose ends. So you could say this is my dying memoirs if they have their way, or you could say it's my confession if I get caught. Either way, it will definitely be part of the evidence for the motive behind what I have planned next. I know we use Reddit as a way of advertising for potential clients, and calling out targets harder to get hold of. Well, this is me calling out you, my replacement. Come and get me.